Imagine this. You wake up one day, determined to finally fix your life. You've read all the books, listened to all the podcasts, and followed every piece of advice from self-help gurus. You've meditated, journaled, and visualized your dream future. Yet, here, you are still anxious, still unfulfilled, still chasing a version of yourself that feels perpetually out of reach. What if the very thing you thought was saving you is actually keeping you stuck? What if the self-help culture you've turned to for answers is, in fact, a labyrinth of endless striving, designed to keep you running in circles? Here's the unsettling paradox. Self-help promises liberation, but it often delivers a new kind of prison. It tells you to love yourself, yet it constantly reminds you that you're not enough. It preaches self-acceptance, but only after you've transformed into someone better. It sells you the dream of inner peace, yet it thrives on your dissatisfaction. Why do we keep returning to this well, even when it leaves us thirstier than before? Is it possible that the self-help industry isn't just a solution to our problems, but a reflection of them, a mirror held up to our deepest insecurities and fears? The truth is, self-help culture doesn't just offer answers. It creates questions you didn't know you had. It convinces you that your life is a problem to be solved, a project to be perfected. But what if the real problem isn't you? What if the real problem is the belief that you need fixing at all? This is the dark side of self-help culture, a world where the pursuit of self-improvement becomes a never-ending cycle of self-rejection. And as you stand at the edge of this realization, one question lingers, heavy and unavoidable: what happens when the very tools meant to free you become the chains that bind you? The answer lies not in more striving, but in something far deeper, something we've been too busy improving ourselves to see. To understand why self-help culture often backfires, we must dig into the psychological and philosophical forces that fuel it. At its core, self-help thrives on a fundamental human desire, the longing for control. We live in a chaotic, unpredictable world, and the promise of self-mastery is intoxicating. But beneath this desire lies a deeper, more insidious truth: our fear of uncertainty, our terror of being powerless. Carl Jung once warned that the parts of ourselves we reject or ignore cannot be eliminated by sheer willpower. Yet, self-help culture often encourages us to do just that, to fix our flaws, to overcome our weaknesses, to banish our negative emotions. In doing so, it inadvertently amplifies our inner conflict. We become trapped in a cycle of self-rejection, constantly at war with the very parts of us that make us human. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this struggle as a symptom of modern life's existential crisis. In a world where traditional sources of meaning, religion, community, purpose have eroded, we turn to self-help as a substitute. But Nietzsche warned that this pursuit of self-perfection often leads to self-loathing. Whoever fights monsters, he wrote, should see to it that he does not become a monster himself. Arthur Schopenhauer, too, understood the futility of chasing external validation or inner perfection. He believed that human desire is infinite, a bottomless pit that can never be filled. Self-help culture, with its endless promises of more success, more happiness, more self-love, feeds this insatiable hunger, leaving us perpetually dissatisfied. And then there's the societal dimension. Aldous Huxley foresaw a world where people would be pacified by distractions and superficial solutions. Self-help, in many ways, has become that distraction. It offers quick fixes and feel-good mantras, but it rarely addresses the systemic issues: alienation, inequality, disconnection that underlie our collective discontent. The hidden problem, then, is not just that self-help culture fails to deliver on its promises. It's that it exploits our deepest fears and insecurities, turning them into a commodity. It convinces us that we are broken, then sells us the tools to fix ourselves, tools that, more often than not, keep us trapped in the same cycle of striving and self-doubt. But what if the solution isn't more self-improvement? What if it's something far more radical, something that requires us to stop running from ourselves and confront the very things we've been taught to fear? The answer lies not in the next book, the next seminar, or the next life hack. It lies in a profound shift in how we see ourselves and the world around us, a shift that begins with understanding the unseen consequences of the self-help trap. The consequences of self-help culture are not always obvious, but they are pervasive. They seep into our thoughts, our relationships, and our sense of self, shaping our lives in ways we rarely notice. One of the most insidious effects is the way it distorts our relationship with failure. In a world obsessed with self-improvement, failure is no longer a natural part of life. It's a personal flaw, a sign that you're not trying hard enough. This mindset breeds perfectionism, anxiety, and a paralyzing fear of making mistakes. Psychologically, this creates a phenomenon known as the self-help paradox. The more you strive to be better, the more you reinforce the belief that you're not good enough as you are. This creates a feedback loop of inadequacy, where every setback feels like proof of your unworthiness. Over time, this erodes your self-esteem and leaves you feeling perpetually incomplete. Neurologically, this constant striving triggers the brain's stress response. Cortisol levels rise, and the amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes hyperactive. This not only makes you more anxious, but also impairs your ability to think clearly and make decisions. In essence, the very act of trying to fix yourself can make you less capable of handling life's challenges. Culturally, self-help culture reinforces individualism at the expense of community. It tells you that your problems are yours alone to solve, ignoring the social and systemic factors that contribute to your struggles. This isolates you, cutting you off from the support and connection that are essential for mental and emotional well-being. Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote, "Hell is other people, but in the context of self-help culture, hell might actually be the endless, exhausting project of trying to become someone you're not." The unseen consequence of this project is a kind of spiritual emptiness, a loss of authenticity. You become so focused on who you're supposed to be that you lose touch with who you actually are. And then there's the societal impact. Self-help culture thrives on the myth of meritocracy, the idea that anyone can achieve anything if they just work hard enough. This not only ignores the role of privilege and systemic inequality, but also places the blame for failure squarely on the individual. If you're not successful, it's because you didn't try hard enough, not because the system is rigged against you. The unseen consequences of self-help culture, then, are both personal and collective. They shape not only how we see ourselves, but also how we see the world. And as long as we remain trapped in this cycle of striving and self-rejection, we will never truly be free. But what if freedom isn't about becoming someone else? What if it's about embracing who you already are, flaws, failures, and all? The answer lies in a radical shift in perspective, one that challenges everything self-help culture has taught us. This shift begins with rebellion, a conscious decision to break free from the self-help trap and reclaim your humanity. But how do you do that? How do you escape a system that has convinced you that you're the problem? The answer lies not in more striving, but in something far more profound: a return to the self, not as a project to be perfected, but as a mystery to be explored. Breaking free from the self-help trap requires a rebellion not against others, but against the internalized beliefs that keep you chained. It begins with a radical shift in perspective. What if you stopped seeing yourself as a problem to be solved and started seeing yourself as a person to be understood? The first step is to question the narratives you've been sold. Who told you that you need to be fixed? Who benefits from your endless striving? Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, argued that meaning cannot be found in the pursuit of happiness or success. but in the acceptance of life's inherent challenges. When we are no longer able to change a situation, he wrote, we are challenged to change ourselves, but this change isn't about self-improvement, it's about self-acceptance. Start by embracing your imperfections. Carl Jung believed that the shadow, the parts of ourselves we reject, holds the key to wholeness. Instead of trying to eliminate your flaws, explore them. What do they reveal about your fears, your desires, your humanity? This isn't about glorifying dysfunction. It's about recognizing that your imperfections are an essential part of who you are. Next, redefine success. In a culture obsessed with achievement, it's easy to equate self-worth with external validation. But true success isn't about reaching some idealized version of yourself. It's about living authentically. Friedrich Nietzsche called this becoming who you are. It's not about striving to be someone else. It's about uncovering the person you've always been. Another crucial step is to reconnect with community. Self-help culture often isolates us, convincing us that our struggles are unique and ours alone to solve. But humans are social creatures. We heal in connection, not in isolation. Seek out relationships that allow you to be vulnerable, to be seen, to be accepted as you are. Finally, practice presence. Aldous Huxley warned against the dangers of living in a state of constant distraction, always chasing the next goal or the next fix. True freedom lies in the present moment, in the ability to simply be, without judgment or agenda. This doesn't mean abandoning growth or ambition. It means approaching them from a place of wholeness rather than lack. The rebellion, then, is not a rejection of growth, but a redefinition of it. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity, I am not enough, to one of abundance, I am already whole. This shift is not easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront the parts of yourself you've been taught to fear. But the rewards are profound. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you begin to discover the beauty of who you already are. You find meaning not in the pursuit of perfection, but in the messy, imperfect, glorious experience of being human. And as you stand on the edge of this realization, one question remains. What happens when you stop running from yourself and start embracing the person you've always been? The answer lies in the ultimate truth, a revelation so powerful it redefines everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. The ultimate truth is this: you are never broken. You are never incomplete, never in need of fixing. The belief that you are the relentless voice that tells you to be more, do more, achieve more, is not your truth. It's a story, a narrative sold to you by a culture that profits from your dissatisfaction. This realization is both liberating and unsettling. It means letting go of the idea that happiness, worthiness, or fulfillment lies somewhere in the future, just out of reach. It means accepting that you are enough, not because of what you've achieved or who you've become, but because of who you are right here, right now. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But becoming who you are isn't about transformation, it's about revelation. It's about peeling back the layers of conditioning, expectation, and self-doubt to uncover the essence that has always been there. This essence is not perfect. It is messy, flawed, and beautifully human. It carries scars and shadows, but it also holds an infinite capacity for love, creativity, and connection. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you begin to see that these imperfections are not obstacles to your growth. They are the very fabric of your humanity. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this when he wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. The chaos within you, the fears, the doubts, the contradictions, is not something to be eradicated. It is the raw material of your becoming, the source of your strength and your creativity." And here's the most profound truth of all. The journey of self-discovery is not a solitary one. It is a journey of connection to yourself, to others, to the world around you. When you stop seeing yourself as a project, you begin to see the interconnectedness of all things. You realize that your struggles are not unique, that your pain is not isolated. You are part of a larger whole, a tapestry of human experience woven together by threads of joy, sorrow, and everything in between. This realization is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning. It is an invitation to live authentically, to embrace the fullness of your humanity, and to contribute your unique thread to the tapestry of life. It is a call to stop striving for perfection and start living with presence, with compassion, with courage. So, as you stand at the edge of this truth, ask yourself, what would it mean to stop running from yourself? What would it mean to embrace the person you've always been, not as a project, but as a gift? The answer lies not in more striving, but in surrender. Not in fixing, but in being. Not in becoming someone else, but in uncovering the person you already are. And when you do, you will find that the darkness you've been running from is not a void, but a womb, a place of infinite possibility, waiting to give birth to the dancing star within you. This is the ultimate truth. You are not broken. You are whole. You are enough. And the journey of your life is not about becoming someone else. It's about coming home to yourself.